Okay, loves, I wanted to do a video tonight. I'm gonna go into each Orisha individually and talk about the different aspects of them, how to venerate and honor them, and what to do to invoke them, how you can work with these energies even if you are uninitiated. So today, and for the most part, maybe the last 2 days, I've been thinking about Oshun. So I'm going to post a video to show you a gratitude Oshun ritual that I did to invoke her energy and just to say thank you, because I feel Oshun all around me. And Oshun is a Yoruban Orisha that is known for being very sensual, and I have notes here and information. I have notes here, and that's my dog. Sorry about that. But Oshun is known for her sensuality. She likes fine arts. She's invoked and venerated and honored for being the Orisha or deity that sits over love, beauty, fertility, and in some specific, there are different tales or stories or paktis that speak about each specific energy and how they were connected to each other. It's kind of soap opera-ish. Some of the deities and orishas have been married before. Some of them are baby mamas to each other. Some of them have been with each other's boyfriends or husbands, and then they all end up being friends or frenemies, or however you want to look at it. But they're different aspects of us as well. And so I wanted to just do a breakdown on Oshun, even though Oshun is somebody that you can see depicted in not just cultural artwork and studies historically, but in movies, videos. Beyonce and Cardi B both do their Oshun deity aspects all the time, and her colors are yellow, gold, copper. She loves honey, brass. I would say brass more so than copper, because when I think of copper I think of Oya. But a lot of people don't know that Oshun is great with divination and intuition. So she's also over fresh waters, whereas Yomoya is over the deep waters and the ocean waters. But for Oshun, she actually was one of the original orishas who knew about divination. So when it comes to working with cowrie shells, which once you are initiated, you can work with 16 cowrie shells, but if you're uninitiated, you can work with the OB and do the 4 cowrie shell readings, which I'll do another video on as well. But Oshun actually has an attribute of symbolizing health, wisdom, and protection as well. So she's all that. She does everything from being a feminine woman to being a warrior, and she's a part of the triple goddess pantheon, which would be Oya, Yemoya, and Oshun. Oshun's number is 5, and different information will exist as far as what her days are. Today's a Tuesday, and I connect with her on Tuesdays for whatever reason, but everybody has different depictions because Oya is a deity that's honored in Santeria. She's honored in just different cultures, so you can find different information, different aspects, different numbers, but generally the colors are the things that I see that are pretty consistent across the board. When it comes to the physical correspondence in the human body, Oshun corresponds with the circulatory system, your digestive organs, your elimination system, and for females, your, your vajayjay, your feminine area, that region. So she is again a fertility goddess, and so that's going to be something that she's going to connect with. And there are different herbs that you can use for corresponding to Oya as well. And if anybody wants to know those herbs, I will do separate videos on the herbs for the different deities. If you're working with them and you're wanting to invoke them in your work. But mainly cinnamon is one of the more popular ones, and you can use honey to put at the base of your candles. And what I do is I put the honey at the base of the candle, and if you want to put a little soil or sand, cinnamon, sprinkle all of that around it, that's fine. But you want to take your candles, and as you put your ashe in it, you speak into the candle for whatever purpose you're using it for. And then you want to also put a little cinnamon on it, and most of it is going to fall off, but a little bit will stick, enough for it to burn without a big fiery flame or a stickiness. And then you put the honey at the base of the candle, so that when it all burns down, by then the wax is dripping down and it'll kind of intertwine with the honey. But so there are several herbs again that correspond with her energy. And I am not a child of Oshun, but I am I have the authority to work with all of the Orishas, so I wanted to break her down specifically because I'm feeling her energy so strongly today. And there are different fruit, pumpkin, you can use kind of yellow and orange squash, yellow, orange fruits. Some Orishas like certain things and others don't. So for example, I like to keep shea butter on my Orisha altar, and I feel like most of the deities that I have invoked before I was even initiated kind of spoke to me about what they did and didn't like, because what most people don't realize is there are certain characteristics of these Orishas that are just like across the board, but then some of them have different energies. Like when I got initiated, one of my counterparts that was at my initiation ceremony was a Shango, and he does not smoke and he doesn't drink, and most Shangos are going to be smoking cigars and drinking rums, but the aspect of his Shango was not about that life. So his energy is just a different Shango energy, and that just does exist with the Orishas. And also when it comes to the Orishas being in tune with certain chakras, Oshun does represent the third chakra, or the one that's going to be in relation to your navel area. So that particular area again goes with the specific fertility area of the human body. And so you can use stones that are going to, crystals that are going to be in line with those same colors that I mentioned earlier. So you can do your citrines and your orange stones, yellow stones, but pretty much I have a couple of more notes, and I'm gonna eventually do multiple videos, because when you work with deities, they tell you different things. Like today, I was inspired to put pink flowers in her Orisha bowl that I made, and she loved them. And I went out there and I just sprinkled pink petals. And because she's a sensual goddess, she loves mirrors and gold. I have always felt compelled to buy her gold mirrors with the thick Baroque gold frames, brass bowls, like oriental brass bowls. You can find beautiful brass bowls from Goodwill. And perfumes. She likes fabulous perfumes. She likes expensive perfumes. So for her, I have some Chanel, Dior, and I think that's it. Chanel and Dior. Oh, and I have some Louis Vuitton small samples that I got from the store that I put around her items as well. And when a deity asks you for something specifically, even if it's expensive, I personally would advise you to go ahead and purchase that item for them, because it's almost like a magnet for more of those things, not just for them, but for you and your life. So when you spend money, it's like an investment, because you're investing in your spirituality, because these are aspects of yourself that are enhancing and that are being that are vibrating out throughout the universe, and that vibration is going to bounce back to you, and you're going to attract more abundance, more gratitude, more love, more femininity, more fertility, whatever you're putting out there, and whatever Orisha or deity that's working with you and that you're honoring, they're going to help you out in the areas that they have the authority over. So is above, so below. So if there is something that the Orisha Oshun has the authority to work with, she's going to work with that aspect of you. And especially when you're making her space in your living quarters, comfortable, beautiful, and they resonate with her. And just like me and my life, things that I like, if somebody were to set up an altar for me when I'm on the other side, and they have things on the altar that I don't like, I may not necessarily come visit that altar as much or at all, because it may not be a space that I vibrate with, or that the energy that is me is attuned to. So and I give the scenario all the time when I'm talking around the house to my family members, that it's like trying to put a floppy disk drive on a 2019 MacBook or Apple computer, iMac. It's just not gonna work with it. You have to use a newer software. So everything has its own coding, its own programs, its own binary system, which is what the Ifa tradition consists of, is working with binary codes that exist in our universe. Okay, and outside of that, I do feel like Oya brings balance. There are multiple aspects of Oya outside of her just being the fertility goddess and being prissy and pretty. She's very powerful, and she can also have dark sides of her, just like any other energy that you're working with. One day you can plug in a light bulb and it's working and it's lighting up the room, providing you with insight. You're able to see and do whatever you need to do with that light bulb on. The next day you can go to flip that switch, and it's a fire that's just going to break out and just going to burn everything up, and the light bulb can pop, it can blow, and it can just turn black. So depending on who's invoking the energy for what aspect and for what manner, that's how energy works. Especially when you're dealing with the Orishas, they're no different than any other energetic system that exists within the creation of our universe and within the 3D world that we live in. When they come from whatever dimension they're on out there to be of assistance for us, they bring their energy in a way that we can relate to them, and we can depict them as being this Orisha, that Orisha, but they have multiple purposes, and they have multiple functions in our lives. So when you're invoking Oshun, be aware that there is a dark side to her, just like Oya, which is the Orisha that has that I am crowned into. And also be aware that you want to come correct. You don't want to, give these deities things that they don't really rock with. So don't just, substitute things and say, oh, I'll just give this particular energy this because this is, now when it's a situation of this is all I have, that's one thing. You coming from, the bottom of your heart and you're making an offering or you're being grateful. But to say, I'm going to force you to do this, and you'll get messages whether or not your offerings are accepted, whether or not they like specific things, or whether or not they want something. You'll get dreams, you'll get symbols. Like if you're trying to burn a candle and it just won't stay lit, maybe that candle isn't for that Orisha or that deity. And if you're trying to do things and stuff is like mysteriously falling off your altar, or just haphazardly you're having certain things happen when you're lighting certain candles, or you're providing certain offerings to the altar that you set up to work with your Orisha, then maybe you need to reconsider, because that's the only way that they can speak to us versus them just manifesting physically, which they do, but they tend to do it subtly, and they tend to do it in our dreams for the most part. And with Oshun, she is often depicted as having very large breasts or robust breasts, and she's also depicted as being different depictions of her will show her as a lighter skinned deity, and then some depictions of her will show her as being more brown skinned, and some will show her as being dark. So I feel like she can just be whoever she wants to be as it relates to the person who is honoring her. And she also has another name, Oniki, which I think is a very cool name. It has a lot of power, and it also has kind of like a swag to it. So I think that's a cool name. I think that's kind of sort of close to Nicki Minaj's real name. But she does, you can invoke her for money, and you can put cinnamon and honey on your money, wrap your money around cinnamon sticks, drench your money in honey just to keep it sweet and flowing to you. What else do I want to say about her? A lot of the Yoruban mythologies go like this. She had children, but she didn't raise them. So some stories will depict Yemoya as raising Oshun's children, and some will depict Oya as raising Oshun's children, who are also known as the Ibiji, for example. So which are the twins in the Yoruba pantheon. But it is just pretty much going to vary. And I got so confused when I studied this tradition years before I got initiated, and I was like, what is the one true story? But there are several. So whenever the mouths of humans are telling stories of the gods and the deities and the orishas, we always put things in a way where they can be personified as relatable to us. So we're going to change those. They're not going to be 100% consistent across the board, and that's for most cultures. So I kind of like to associate Oshun with a deity that likes drumming and dancing. Not everybody depicts her this way, but to me, that's how I always see her, as somebody that's probably doing a sexy dance, maybe like a belly dance, kind of a sensual dance, because those dances and those movements also open up different kundalini energies within your body. They also unlock different coding that's in our DNA. So when you see women dancing and gyrating and moving a certain way, those are messages to ourselves even. you know, for certain things. Certain movements have certain meanings. And so I always depict Oshun as having that kind of an energy. One thing I will say is before you invoke Oshun or any other Orisha for that matter, you want to ask Eshu to open up the gate for you to the spirit world so that you can talk to, honor, communicate with, or make an offering to the Orishas that you're petitioning, and to do your bidding. Now, when it comes to Oshun, I personally always felt like she was going to be, my Orisha. She was going to be the Orisha that I was going to be crowned into. And that's because of the sensuality, the makeup, the mirror, the gold, the fertility, the sexuality. But that's not the case, and I'm okay with that because I'm still able to invoke her, and she still does work on my behalf. But that's another thing too. You're going to want to get a reading done from a Babalawow so that you can know who you need to focus on, who walks with you, who your guardian Orisha is. And that's going to help you to tap into your own power, because if you are somebody that was created to be a brain surgeon, but you are, standing outside flipping a cardboard box for a pizza restaurant advertising, then you're not tapping into your potential. And you have a lot of people that later in life, they tap into this extremely different aspect of themselves, or this powerful aspect of themselves, and they tell these stories about how they went from being homeless and sleeping in their cars to being these CEOs and these multi-millionaires. It's because you have an awakening and a shift that happens, and you're thrust into your power. And when you're walking with your Ori, or your head being in tune and aligned a certain way, then you're able to access certain realms of yourself that have been locked off. It's almost like when you're playing a video game and you're only going to level 3, 4, 5, but then you find out what the secret is, what moves to make. And sometimes it takes repetition, sometimes it takes dying and coming back, whether that's a physical death or whether that's learning lessons from experiences or what have you. But sometimes it's, I believe, reincarnating and coming back, and then you remember in your last life that you got to level 5. So in this life, you still don't have to skip levels 1 through 5, but once you get there, you have this little nudge that pushes you forward, and you can go ahead and get to level 10 this time, or whatever level it is that you're trying to get to. And that's why I don't hate on people when they're successful, because you never know what people had to take, what people had to do to get to where they are. They may have had to die and come back again and start this life all over just to accomplish certain things. And so, I personally feel like that's how this particular realm of existence works. And so, all that to say, you want to tap into the Orisha that is specifically centered in the seat of your soul. And for me, it's Oya. And so I never looked at Oya as an Orisha that I wanted to deal with or work with. And it was really, she was one of the last Orishas that I even knew about. I knew enough about Oshun, Yemoya, Obatala, Eshu, Shango. I didn't really know a lot about Ochosi or Ogun, but like the other more popular Orishas that are a part of the 7 African powers pantheon, like I had burned candles for them for years, and I had never done anything to honor Oya. But that makes sense because I wasn't tapping into my true self, my true power. And it wasn't until leading up to my initiation that I did. So it was almost like somebody was saving this special gift and prize for me for the end of a cycle. And with Oya comes that great change. So it's like she's renewing me and bringing me forward. But I used to always want to get Oshun statues and Oshun t-shirts and just Oshun. Like I could remember even before, like maybe even, gosh, I'm 39 years old now. I wasn't even 30 years old yet. I was probably maybe 28 or 29, wanting this Oshun statue so bad. Listening to Love Jones, where the little poem about you must be Yamayaw. Hell no, you got to be Oshun. Like I'm like, okay, I got to get with this Oshun energy. I got to flow with that. And then I realized when I got initiated into Oya that she was my crown Orisha for a reason, because to me there are levels. And in my younger days, I was more attracted to the sensuality, wearing my little belly tops and, wanting everybody to look at my, my sexuality or look at me from a physical perspective. And then once I got a little older and I changed that, I'm like, okay, now I see why I don't have that Oshun connection like I did. Not 100%, because you still as a woman feel connected, and even some men, to that femininity and to that sensuality. But and I do feel like you can grow into Oshun and be walking with her, forever. But you don't have to be initiated or a child of Oshun to do that. So let me say that. And every time I think of Oshun, I always think of sunflowers. But I think because I grew up with my great granny planting sunflowers, that's why I have that connection to sunflowers themselves. But I just always think of Oshun, and I think of sunflowers around her. And I don't really see her depicted like that, but that's just how I see her whenever I think about her. So outside of that, I can't think of anything else right off about Oshun, other than the peacock feathers, which we mostly know about. I talked about the mirrors and the cowrie shells. So then you also have fans and, like I said, nice perfumes, nice jewelry, just nice objects in particular. I talked about the honey and the cinnamon and the pumpkin. And I would also say maybe eggs, because they represent fertility, but you would have to check to see what your version of Oshun that you call upon and honor what that particular energy is open to. With that being said, I'm going to wrap that up right here. And I'm pretty sure that the children of Oshun are going to probably put more information in the comment section below for us all to learn, because they can speak more about her than any of us can. I'm just an admirer. I'm just a distant cousin of hers. She's just one of my ancestors. Because of my Nigerian bloodline and lineage, I have a connection with all the Orishas, but she's just a distant cousin for me. So I can't really speak on her like her children can, but she is one of the most popular, I feel, Orishas, and I think for a very good reason, because she brings it. She's banging. I mean, who wouldn't want to stomp around with this particular goddess? I mean, every time you see one of her children, they're done. They're suited and booted. They're bringing it. They have that sunshiny energy, and they light up a room. They have that confidence from what I've seen, and I just respect her. So I wanted to talk about her today, just to let you all know that if you want to call upon somebody who has all these bomb qualities that I mentioned before, then call upon your girl. Call upon Oshun. She is she is like one of the most popular Orishas out there for a reason. So again, if you have any comments, please leave them down below. Children of Oshun, let us know. Let us know what we need to know about, about your mother. And thank you so much for watching. Peace and namaste.